I'm so looking forward to playing this clip because I know this is the kind of thing that Matt absolutely hates, and I feel like torturing him. But simultaneously, I know he respects honesty and self-awareness, and this clip has some of that. So let's see what he thinks.
Top 10 things you should pay more attention to. Starting with number 1, me.
And I've got another one. Check this one out.
Hit me with it. Come on. Do it.
So you're telling me that all I have to do is put my hands up like this and bounce, and that's how I get 100,000 likes?
Guys, they're onto us. They know our game.
I remember I once did a poll on my channel. Do you think that I would get more views if I was like a hot woman? And everyone was like, yes. Like,
yeah,
obviously. Oh man. But what I do like here is the sort of like the joke kind of that they're playing, I suppose, on us and themselves of like, yeah, I'm a complete attention whore. Like, look what I'm doing. I just want you to pay attention to me. Like, I'll bounce up and down as long as I'm getting your likes and your clicks and your views.
I don't know how long it'll take for me to finally just accept that this attentional asymmetry is just a fact of reality. Male attention is like the currency of the day for so many modern women.
One of the awful effects of social media is it has removed considerations of quality of attention and filtered everything so that it's equal. So a high quality man's like and a low quality man's like appears as the same to a woman when she's checking her analytics. And if you're trying to attract the attention of a high quality man, then you're going to act in such a way that appeals to him. You're going to have some dignity. You're going to have some intelligence. You're going to display some femininity. You're going to be high quality. But if you're just going for mass appeal because the quality of man doesn't matter, then you're going to sink down to the absolute lowest common denominator. And you're just going to, wear very little. You're going to bounce up and down for likes. You're going to do whatever it is necessary, because it doesn't matter about the quality of man. You're just trying to get those numbers up. And that's one of the effects that social media has had on the most recent generation. It has absolutely sanitized women's capacity to enjoy the attention of low quality men because they don't actually have to deal with them.
Wow.
They don't have to see them like face to face. They don't have to deal with the humiliation of having all of their peers and the high quality man seeing them interact with a low quality man. They can do it from the safe distance of their iPhone, post it on TikTok, and then enjoy all of that low quality male attention and money, and then use it to boost their self-esteem without any of the negative blowback from it. That you cannot understate how big a change that is in our culture. That's completely fucking with women's natural capacity to integrate and understand the quality of male attention that they're getting and then make informed choices from that information.
I would say it is as revolutionary as unlimited access to pornography for men. It's just as addicting. The difference is that men lose when they objectively lose time, energy, their sexual functioning. I mean, maybe women lose that from this too, but they often gain popularity, influence, money, like they have tangible benefit from doing this sort of thing. So it's not as obviously detrimental to their well-being as pornography is to men.
There is something that they lose, which is access to genuinely high quality men. And I know that this is the case because, as you've said before, Matt, when assuming you're a high quality man, I think you're a very high quality man. I really enjoy your company and I enjoy chatting to you. And so it makes sense from my perspective, a woman would be lucky to actually attract your attention. You're not going to give it to these kinds of women that we're seeing here in these TikTok videos. But correct me if I'm wrong. I remember you said once that you had looked through the Instagram of your current girlfriend when you first started getting together, and you were extremely relieved to see that there was no booty shaking, no bikini pics or anything like that. It was mostly like food she'd cooked and like mountains and nature, and you're like, yes, this is the kind of woman of social media I can like. And so while these women might be getting the clicks, getting the money, getting whatever, I do think that they lose access to men like you and other high quality men who's like, yeah, I'm not going to date the kind of girl who does that.
Yeah, well, this is the difference between short-term and long-term mating strategy. I'm in the market. I was in the market. I'm now landed. I was in the market for a long-term relationship. And so I was looking for anything that would suggest that that's, a stable setup. And my partner's Instagram was 99% pictures of food, pictures of travel. Her face was in there like twice, and it was actually kind of frustrating because I wanted to see more pictures of her, which is a good sign, as opposed to like every other picture is her like, look at me in this outfit, look at me at this pool, look at me with all of my friends that I don't talk to. Previous relationship of mine, she told me a story when She was a freshman in college, I believe, and she had sort of discovered her like sexual power in a certain sense, the way she could influence men. And she had a younger male professor who was talking, and she was not even quite in the front row. I think she was like middle of the class back, and she decided to just lock eyes with him. And he was looking at the board or somewhere else, but she just like kind of turned on this seductive gaze and then just held the energy constant to see what he would do, just out of an experiment. And when he eventually caught her eyes, she told me the story, and I totally believe it because I know, like, I've seen this done before. When he caught her eyes, he flubbed his sentence and completely lost his train of thought for a few seconds. And he was just had to kind of regather himself and then continue. And she was blown away. She thought, oh my God, how did I just do that? I just glitched his brain with a look. I think, have you asked women this question, maybe not in your interviews, but in your personal life, about when they realized the power that they had with their own sexuality? Because that's like probably a crystallizing moment for so many women who are maturing to realize what they can actually accomplish with that kind of energy.
Oh man, your friend had such a sheltered existence. If that experiment was her first introduction, quite sadly, it doesn't take an experiment, a social experiment, for most women to realize the power they have, because they become made aware of it, not from their own volition, but from the impact that they have on the men around them. I have actually asked women, at what point did you realize that your presence, your physicality, your beauty, your sexuality had an impact on men? I mean, do you want to guess the age that it's...
Oh, I'm sure it's like, what, 14, 15?
Oh, man, no. It's awful.
Younger?
It's awful. Fuck. It's awful. It's and I don't mean this to shame you or anything like that, because it shocked me as well, but this is one of the elements of our slightly male privilege, in that we can ignore our sexuality and its impact on the greater culture for a lot longer. It's something kind of private and sort of shameful. Can you imagine how fucking awful it would be to just be reaching puberty? You're 11, 12, 13, and then suddenly you're getting, attention from 15, 60-year-old boys, or even like awful guys who are in their 20s or 30s. Yeah, like that. And look, like sometimes it's difficult to tell a woman's age. I can sort of understand that, but regardless of like the intent, even if it was the best possible accident and you put the best possible spin, the impact on the woman's going to be the same. She's like, oh my God, like men are paying attention to me, like my breasts have power, at an age when they're not nearly psychologically mature enough to be able to handle that kind of responsibility. And we wonder why so many women are kind of disastrous in the way that they carry themselves in their teen years. They get thrust into a position of power that they are not emotionally able to be equipped by.
So this is all about attention, right? This is all about the attention that women get from men and how it's a currency for them, and how it can go wrong. But what about the women who complain, or often justifiably, that the men that they're interested in are not reciprocating sufficient attention? Like where's the sweet spot? How do you know you don't want to give unconditional attention? But a lot of guys, I've seen friends of mine who are so cool that they don't even talk to women. Guess how they're doing on the dating scene? So like, where's the sweet spot?
I have actually been quite shocked in my life at how little attention you can get away with giving a woman if you're high value enough. Which is surprising. Like, if you are the kind of guy whose time is that valuable because you know so many interesting people, you're doing such cool things, you're so in demand, and you really only have time for 2 nights a week to spend with your girlfriend, that can be enough. And so taking the lesson from that, you realize that for some women, it's really not about the quantity of attention. It's about the quality. And to demonstrate that, you can look at how women respond to boyfriends who give up any sense of masculinity or independence and just sort of follow their girlfriends around like obedient little puppy dogs. Like, hey, women, you want me to pay attention to you? Okay, you've got my 100% undivided attention at all times. Women hate it. Women absolutely despise that kind of man because they're not seeking undiluted attention. There's a very specific type of attention that a woman wants, which is that when he's at his best, when he's looking to celebrate himself and his life, she wants you to bring that positive energy to her, and she wants to feel as though she is the very pinnacle of his life in terms of this is how he celebrates how awesome he is, by coming to find me as the match. That appeals to her hypergamy. Like, oh, this sounds so non-politically correct, but
good.
It's so thrilling for a woman. God, this really sounds bad. You have to stick with me. Give me time to explain this. But it's so
if they're this far, Alexander, if they made it this far, they're sticking with you.
It feels so thrilling for a woman to feel as though she is the ultimate prize. You know what I mean? That is just validating of her femininity in a way that a man cannot understand because we don't have an equivalent experience. Not in the exact same way. There's a slightly similar one, which we can explain later. But when a woman knows that she has attracted the best man, the one who absolutely satisfies her hypergamy, and when he's like, I've got 3 days off work and I want to spend it with you because you make me happier than anyone because you're such an amazing person, can you imagine how fulfilling that is for a woman? Like, oh my God, I'm the thing that makes this incredible man light up. I'm his world. I make him feel so good. Yes, I've succeeded as a woman. My femininity wins. I win. This is the pinnacle. What doesn't make her feel good is a man who's giving her an attention that's not a celebratory attention. It's a needy, fix my problems, be my mother kind of attention. If he's constantly spending time with her because he's like, I'm so unhappy, I have no self-esteem, please, like, I need to live vicariously through you. She's like, gross. That makes her feel awful, and she feels like she needs to get away from that kind of guy. And so you find women on two sides of the spectrum. You find some women who are like, I need more attention from my man. It's because the attention she does get, it's been good attention, and she wants more from that. Why wouldn't she? You know, she wants that good juices flowing. But the guy who's giving her heaps of that negative attention, she's like, no, he's too clingy. He's not masculine enough. I'm bored by him, whatever it might be. And so there's no, the real question is not how much attention should you be paying your partner, although we can talk about that in practical concerns, but it's more a case of what is the quality of attention that you're bringing to your girlfriend. That's the question you got to ask.
There's this sort of battle in the manosphere and then in the kind of the femosphere, whatever that corollary would be called, where it's the remember, honey, you're the prize kind of idea. And men actually say the same thing to each other, you know, but that's always struck me as odd to inherently put oneself in a hierarchy like that, because in order for you to be the prize, that means that you're better than them. Why would you want to date someone who you're better than? It seems kind of self-sabotaging. Is it not, you alluded to this, is it not the simplest solution for both of you to be the prize? Is that even like a comprehensible alternative?
Like, the framing of it is completely wrong, because you don't judge men versus women as though they're the same. They're competing in different lanes, right? So you've got, like, what specifically does a man admire in a woman? What does he seek out? He seeks out her femininity. What does a woman seek out and admire in a man? She seeks out his masculinity. And so her femininity is his prize and his masculinity is her prize. And it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so like, let's say, understand this, and this will be particularly relevant for all young guys who are sort of starting out on their life, starting out on their career. Okay, you understand that life is made up of two elements. You've got creation and then you've got contemplation. If you do nothing but achieve for the rest of your life and you never take the time to smell the roses and actually enjoy what it is that you've created, then it was basically pointless. But also, if you become just a complete layabout, no hoper, and all you do is contemplate things and you haven't created anything, there's nothing to really feel good about. So what do you create? Let's say you create like a really successful business. Well, the conversion of that is going to be the money that it generates, and then you can buy yourself a nice car, you can go on nice holidays, you can buy a nice house, and then you can contemplate how awesome you are as a person to generate that amount of wealth by looking at the material objects you've been able to buy or the amount of free time you've got, and that's going to make you feel good. So there's quite an obvious way to contemplate that which you have created when it's a practical, like external task, like, you know, your business, your career. What's a lot more difficult is if you are trying to find a tangible way to contemplate and celebrate something that's less material, like your quality as a person. Like, if you do a lot of work on yourself, you become very confident, very masculine, you heal all of your trauma, your self-esteem is really high, you know that you're worth a lot because you're an awesome person. It's not so obvious how you're meant to exactly celebrate that. And the answer to your achievements about yourself as a person is that you celebrate them by the company you keep with other people. And so, yes, that means better quality relationships with your friends and supporters and colleagues and things like that, but primarily in your romantic relationship. And I'd say within that romantic relationship, primarily through the sexual act. Not always, but particularly at the start of a relationship. And so you're like, all right, I have now spent the last 10, 15 years becoming the most amazing person that I possibly can. I am the pinnacle of man, and I want to feel good about that. I want to celebrate that. And you know what? While I sit here in my man cave, I'm not really feeling that. You know, it's not obvious to me. what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to find the highest quality woman that I possibly can, my female equivalent. I'm not competing with her because she's not masculine. She's feminine, but I'm going to find a woman who I really admire in her femininity. I'm going to seduce her. I'm going to get her into a relationship. And when I look into her eyes and I see that she wants me, she desires me, she loves me, she's attracted to me, I know that it's the work that I have done in becoming such a high quality person myself that has generated my capacity to make her attracted towards me. And I can enjoy her love. I can sink into it and I can celebrate. This is my reward. She is my prize for all the work that I've done. And so men, understand that if you're working towards becoming a high quality person and you want a tangible way to celebrate who you are, you do that with a relationship through the eyes of a woman.
Someone needs to set that, what you just said, to music and make that a motivational video. That was fucking great. Thank you. You just nailed your whole channel pretty much in a 3-minute summary. That was so exact, on point. That actually, this taking it way back, when we first met, I had a session with you with the stuff I was going through. You told me about this dichotomy of creation and celebration, and that fundamentally shifted how I looked at what I was doing with my work and with my play, right? Because I didn't have that balance as clearly in mind and as articulated in a holistic way as you just mapped out. So that was a thrill for me to hear that brought back with such force and such coherence. Thank you very much.
Can we now talk about what it is about attention that makes it such a valuable currency for women? Like, I'm sure you find some men are probably looking at these videos that we looked at here and thinking, okay, I don't really get it. Like, if I get 100,000 likes for, bouncing up and down, who cares? There's no real kind of achievement. They actually want to feel like the thing that they're being recognized for and celebrated for is for something valuable that they've actually given to humanity. And without that, it's worthless. But you understand, if you're thinking like that, and you don't understand why women aren't the same, then you haven't properly appreciated the different neurological wiring and the instincts that go into making the genders different. So much of your instincts are guided towards trying to create like a sense of safety. So what do you need in order to feel safe as a man? You need to demonstrate that you're competent. You need to have the respect of your peers based on your competency. So how good are you at being a warrior, defending the tribe against raids from other tribes? How good are you at hunting? Can you thread the arrow? Can you build a shelter? Can you make the fire? Like, the better you are at those things, then you're going to rise up that competence hierarchy and feel safer in your position of the tribe. So that's why, as a man, your self-esteem and your sense of psychological safety is so linked to your competence. If you are bad at everything, you're probably going to feel bad about yourself. Like, well, what do I have to contribute? That's not a coincidence. That's not a socially constructed instinct. That's deeply rooted in your biology from evolution. You are wired to try and improve, to enhance your talents, to hone your skills, and your self-esteem is going to rise as a natural consequence of that. Women are a little bit more different. Now, there's more similarities between men and women than there are differences. So everything I've said about men is true to women to a certain degree. But one of the things that women have that men don't have in nearly as strong instincts is a sense of psychological safety that comes from the amount of attention that they're getting. And so to talk about the historical roots of that, we can imagine what it was like for women while the men are off at war, off in hunting. They've got children, they need to gather up the roots and berries and things like that. It's all about the social bonds. If you want your children to be looked after by the other women in the tribe, you need to be getting along well with them. And you've probably seen this in high school. What is the worst thing that you can do to punish a teenage girl? Stop talking to her. Kick her out of the friend group. Yeah. Banish her socially. Terrifying to women in a way that men can't understand. Like, maybe you've experienced this as a man, like some male friends stopped hanging out with you and it sucked. And you're like, oh, that was really shit. Like, I'm bummed about that. Nothing compared to what a woman would experience in that same instinct. This is why women can be a lot more susceptible to like influence from female friends, because they have such strong instincts for social conformity, and they had to, and it made sense, because not being a part of the tribe, not getting the attention, the social attention from the women actually could mean no one's going to look after my children, no one's going to take care of me. Those female sisterhood bonds were extremely important, which is why women can find gossip and the social interactions between women endlessly fascinating, because it links to something very real inside them, which is a feeling of safety and survival. Why men just like, I don't understand why anyone would find this interesting. Okay, I get that, but you're wired differently to women. And so to take those evolutionary instincts and then to explain how we're seeing them operate in today's day and age, we'll just look at what the social media has done for women. Like I've said before, social media is for women what porn is for men, in that it has hijacked an ancient evolutionary instinct and then just ramped it up to such a crazy degree that our brains can't really handle it. When you give these kinds of women this opportunity to have thousands and thousands of likes and views on their channel, like that amount of attention coming at them, it's like a crazy overabundance of safety feeling. Like, oh, if this amount of people know me and they like me and I'm getting this amount of adoration, it doesn't really matter if it's based on anything to do with competency or talent. That doesn't matter to me. What really matters to me is the attention. And so the same thrill that you might feel as a man if you just accomplish some incredibly difficult task and you just demonstrated your competency and you just feel like this huge accomplishment inside yourself, like, I'm good, I'm safe, look at how badass I am, like I can fucking get stuff done. That same feeling of safety can be experienced by women who haven't accomplished anything but simply by fame, simply by attention.
There's Jonathan Haidt talks about what's kind of the most classic archetype of feminine violence, which is the "you can't play with us" attack. Like, that's not the same for men. Men's violence is just violence. Like, we just attack each other. But women's violence is what's called, there's a term for it. It's a form of social violence. I'm blanking on the term. Reputational destruction. Thank you very much. It's a completely different ballgame because they don't have the rage and the testosterone and the muscles that men have. They can't just tear each other's limbs off the way they do. They have to get sneaky and undermine and exploit in ways that it just doesn't occur to us to do because we don't need to do that.
But I just want to finish up because I was talking in terms of female attention, in terms of evolution, as though it was exclusively related to their survival, like the pressures of survival, but that's not actually the whole picture of it. So your evolution as like a biological organism is guided by like a survival concerns, but also sexual selection. And so let's just quickly just run through so everybody's aware of the impact that sexual selection has on women's need for attention, because a man's desirability as a mate depends a lot less on reputation than a woman's does. Okay, so if a man is tall, if he's good looking, if he's competent, he's strong, and he has accumulated some power and influence, it's obvious, okay? It's very clear for everybody to see that he's a desirable partner. It's less susceptible to people making whispers or rumors about him. You know, he's not actually 6 foot tall. It's like, well, actually, we can measure that, you know? Whereas for a woman, and I know women hate to hear this, and like I actually kind of feel sorry for them in some regard, but for women, their desirability as a mate can depend massively on their reputation, because men are that paranoid about paternity certainty. There is no bigger sucker in the world of biology than raising another man's child. And so women have a massive amount of power to do damage to each other in the eyes of men by spreading rumors about their promiscuity. Okay. And so it is really important for women to be receiving lots of positive attention. So if she has got her eyes on a particular man and everything's set for those two to couple up and she's going to have his children and she's genuinely a good person, she has to be aware that at the same time, she's probably annoyed a lot of the women in her tribe who are also going to go after that really top quality man because he was the prize. She needs to spend at least a little bit of time smoothing things over, rebuilding bridges, making good with the women, because she does not want those women trying to seduce her man, trying to whisper in his ear. You know, she's a total slut, right? She's actually slept with a whole bunch of guys. You know, who knows who her children are actually going to be? They could be yours, they could be anyone's. Wow. And so it makes a lot more sense why women are more attuned to the social feedback that they're getting, because not just from a survival point of view, but from a sexual selection point of view, her future, her safety, her prospects are completely dependent upon the good relations that she has.
So many reasons to study evolutionary psychology. David Buss, read everything he writes.